and a commentary, like a running commentary. We've looked at the theme of vanity, Hevel. Hevel Havalim Amar Kohelet HaKol Havel. Vanity of vanities, says the Kohelet, all is vanity, all is transitory, all is fleeting. Tachat Hashamish, under the sun. In chapter 1, after tracing the theme in the first 11 verses, the Kohelet then will move from there to try wisdom. And we've seen how the wisdom is vain too, because you can't actually figure out, even if you have wisdom, the anomalies of life. You learn things, but you can't put it together. And so it brings pain or sorrow. What is crooked cannot be made straight. What is lacking cannot be numbered. I have 7, but I can't get 3 to get to 10. And I think that's what he's saying in chapter 1. So in chapter 2, we're looking at the vanity of worldly pleasure. So we continue verse by verse from the Hebrew to the English and a commentary. Amarti ani belibi lachana anasacha besimcha ura'e betov v'hene gam hu havel. So I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth. Therefore, see or enjoy pleasure, that which is good, and behold, indeed, this is vanity. This is like a striving after the wind. It's transitory. So even from the get-go, he tells us that pleasure will not give an answer that's satisfying for the way to live life. He said, I said of laughter, this hawk, amarti mahulao, ulesimcha mazo osef, or maze osef. I said of laughter, it is mad. And of joy or mirth, what does it accomplish? What does laughter accomplish ultimately? And so he said, I am going to keep my wisdom, but pamper myself along with pleasure. Notice in verse 3, Tarti belibi lim shok bayayin et besari belibi noheg bahokma bele'ahoz besiklut ad asher ereb ezet tov livnei ha'adam asher ya'asu tachat ha'shamayim mispar yamei chayehim. That is, so I search in my heart, literally how to draw myself. I searched in my heart to pamper, literally to draw myself along with wine, my flesh along, my heart conducting me in wisdom, till I can lay hold of folly, till I might see that which is good for the sons of men, which they shall do under the sun the number of the days of their life. In other words, I really sought to lay hold on folly and keep my wisdom and see if I could find out what life is about. So he's going to move to what he built in all of his accomplishments. Notice verse 4. Higdauti ma'asai, baniti li batim, metata li keramim. That is, I made great works. I built houses for myself. I planted vineyards in them. In other words, I really, not just having one multi-million dollar home, I had all of these. And I had vineyards. And he's going to say, I had, all of these things, trees. Notice as we go on, I built houses, I planted vineyards, Asiti li ganot u fardesim venatati bahim eitz ko peri. I made gardens for myself and parks. This word is like a paradise. Fardesim. I made parks and I planted in them trees of all kinds of fruit. I had all kinds of fruit trees. I had beautiful homes and beautiful parks that I created for myself. And furthermore, notice we go on to verse 6. Asiti li berechot mayim lehashkot mehim yahar tzomeach atsim. That is, I made for myself pools of water to water the wood that springs up the trees. In other words, I had all kinds of irrigation and gardens and then water, pools of water to irrigate and take care of what I had planted. Furthermore, I had men and female servants. Notice verse 7, the Kohelet says, Kaniti avadim u shefahot uvene bayet hayali gam mikne bakar betzon harbe hayali meko shehayu nefanai berushalayim. That is, I acquired men servants and female servants, and sons of my house were born to me. In other words, I had servants galore, and also I had possessions of herds and fields, or flocks, I should say, possession of herds and flocks, above all which were before me in Jerusalem. In other words, I outdid everybody that preceded me. I had all of these material things. I had all of this to enjoy pleasure with, and I had money. Notice verse 8. Kanashtili gam kesef zahav u segulat melachim Bahamedinot asiti li sharim v'sharot v'ta'anugot b'nei ha'adam shida v'shidot. That is, I gathered for myself silver and gold and the peculiar treasure of kings and of provinces. Uh, have I for myself? I made also men singers and female singers. In other words, I had my own combo, so to speak. And I had the delights of the sons of men, concubine and concubines. In other words, women very many. So he's telling all that he accomplished in seeking to enjoy life and have pleasure. So he said, I became great. V'gadalti v'hosafti meko shehaya lefanai berushalayim af mati amadali. That is, I was great, and I was increased more than all which were before me in Jerusalem. Indeed, I kept my wisdom as well. My wisdom stood, my wisdom stood me uh, with me. In other words, I still kept my wisdom along with all of this material luxury and gain. And then finally he says, and whatsoever my eyes wanted, I got. V'cho asher sha'alu einai lo atzalti mehem. Lo manati et libi mikol simcha ki libi sameach mikol amali v'zeh haya hilki mikol amali. That is, and whatsoever my eyes saw, I kept not back from them. I did not withhold my heart from any joy, for my heart was rejoicing in all of my toil, and this was the portion of all of my toil. This is what I accomplished. You know, people say, I want to be rich, I want to have nice homes, I want to have a good job, I want to have, live in an upscale neighborhood, and on and on. Solomon had all of that, more than anyone else, he is saying. So when I finally look back on everything I had done, I noticed it was all vanity. Notice verse 11. Ufaniti ani mechol ma'asai she'asu yadai, uvem amal she'amalti la'asot, v'hine hakol hevel, uruot ruach, ve'en yitron tachat ha'shamish. That is, then I looked on all of my toil, wherein I had toiled, wherein my hands had toiled, and on all the hard work, the toil, which I had worked to accomplish, and behold, all was hevel and chasing the wind, and there was no advancement or profit under the sun. So what he's saying is, I had it all. And yet, when I look back over it, I found there was no profit under the sun. It was all fleeting, it was all vanity. And I think, finally, when we come to the end of life, Kohelet is saying all that we ever do in material gain, material possessions, pleasure, etc., it'll all be fleeting in that day. And he's telling us that in advance. So as I read something like this, my encouragement is let us connect with something that is eternal. And materialism and prosperity and things will not satisfy. It will not bring fulfillment, just like human wisdom didn't. Because after he looked back over it, he said, what does it all mean? And I would just say, I think I remember talking with someone one time, and I said, when did you learn the Torah, the law? And he said, from my mother's womb. And then he looked at me and he said, Gary, what else is there in life? And as a minister, I have to say, what else is there besides God's Word? And in my conviction as a Christian, Jesus Christ, what else is there? And as we come to the end of the book of the Kohelet, he says, fear God and keep his commandments. So uh, this is a tremendous book. It helps us to ponder what our life is really about. Are we building it on pleasure, materialism, or upon that which is eternal?